Alright, so it's like every chapter is going to be kind of flipping between point of views because there's so many characters now going on and everything. Like, the book number 1 was basically like just kind of introducing everybody and everything. And now all the characters are actually like on their own journeys and shit, so it just flips between them pretty often. So I'll try to tell y'all before each chapter, like, oh, now we're like behind this point of view, now we're this point of view, and stuff like that. The last chapter, I think, was from Meggie and Farid. So Meggie and Farid are the daughter of the main man guy that reads people out of the book. And Farid is a character that got read out of a book. And is like, has a crush on Meggie. I think they're just so cute. I ship them, you know. I just like them. I think they're cute. Their little story's cute. It's cute. I don't know. He's like a little, they're both like around 13, I think. 13, 14 in this book. Farid comes from 1001 Nights, or Tale of 1001 Nights, so that's like his, I'm gonna change the lighting in here. So that's like where, like what kind of a, I don't know, person he is. I don't know, like what that, I don't know. He comes from that. But she's like from the real world. So he's from Ink World, but from a different book, and she's from real world. Her dad's name is, okay, let me go fucking find the characters. Our main characters, you guys. Meggie, the daughter of Mo and Risa. Risa was a character who in the first book was inside of the Ink World the whole time. So Mo had the ability, like I said, right, to read people out of books. But we just disconnected. What the hell? But whenever he read out a character, like way years ago, whenever Meggie was just a baby, can y'all speak fucking English? What are y'all on about? So whenever Meggie was a baby, he read her mom into the book and read out random characters. Like, they were all bad guys, they fucked up the real world, and just, that was like what the whole first book was about. And Goose. And, yeah, then, like, towards the end of the book, they read her back out, or maybe that was in the beginning of this one, I kind of forget, honestly. I think it was the end of the last book, though. They read her back out of the book. They learned that Meggie, the daughter, had, like, a better ability than the dad. So, yeah. Some more. I'm gonna just ban. I don't feel like translating what y'all are talking about. I don't care if it's good or bad. I done fucking told y'all once. You can go now. I'm busy. I'm trying to read. I ain't having no fucking dumbass shit floating across my fucking screen on this VOD later. So y'all can just go away. Oops, I banned the wrong person. Come back. Come back. This one. And this one. Ugh. You're back. You're back. I'm so sorry. I do that a lot. Honestly, every time I ban somebody, I ban the wrong person. It's because when I click, the message comes through, and then, like, I click the wrong name every time. He said he loves me. Is that really what he said? I could just time y'all out. I guess I don't have to ban you. Y'all could also just not be fucking annoying. You know? Ugh. Okay, time out. Oops. Duh, fuck it. Bro. I'll see y'all when y'all go back, I guess. I don't know what I did, but if y'all are still here, then I don't know. hello or goodbye. Anyways. Speak a language I can understand when I'm busy to translate it. Mortimer Folkart, also known as Mo, also known as Silvertongue. That's Maggie's dad. Risa is the mom. Oh, this is kind of important. She's like mute. She can't talk. So whenever she got read out of the book, oh right, she wasn't read out of the book by either of them. She was read out of the book by this other guy who can read people out of books. Because there's a fucking bunch of them around the world, I guess, apparently. So this guy though, he had like a bad tongue though. Like it didn't come out well. He reads people out, but they get messed up. So whenever he read out the mom, she came out with no voice. She can't talk, and they haven't like figured out how to replace it yet. Why does my forehead look like that? Jesus Christ, it's fucking huge. Oh my God. So yeah, Orpheus. Yeah, it was either Orpheus or the. I think it's Orpheus though. Yeah. You into these books? I have a Note 23 Ultra. Eleanor is my favorite character. Always. Like, she's always my favorite. I freaking love her. She's hilarious. She's awesome. I love her. I love her. She's Risa's aunt, known as a bookworm or a book collector. She prefers books to human company, but is now happy to have Meggie and Mo and Risa living with her. Oh, Darius, the other book person. There's Darius and Orpheus. It could have been either of them that read it. I think Darius, though, is the one that reads badly. He's like a stutterer, and Orpheus is kind of better at it, I think. I might be wrong, honestly. I kind of forget. That's why I can read these, like, all the time, because I just keep forgetting stuff. Welcome in. Okay, and then, yeah, so then there's Darius, that guy. Finoglio, the Ink Weaver, he's literally the author of the book that the book is about. Dustfinger is a fire eater, fire player man. He's cool, he's cool. He's got a little pet. Gwen is a horned marten, looks like a ferret. Then there's Farid, the boy read out of Tales of the Arabian Nights. I said 1001 Nights. It's not. It's Arabian Nights. He's nimble and quick, devoted to Dustfinger. He has a talent for stealing other robbers' arts. And... oh, for stealing and other robbers' arts. What the fuck? He also has a soft spot for Meggie. Capricorn was the bad guy in the first book. He dead. Basta is the bad guy. He's not dead. Mortola is the bad guy's... this dead's mama. She's not dead. Orpheus, Cheeseface. I don't know. Then there's like all these other people. There's y'all. I don't know how to. I don't know if I should rename this prince. But it just legit. It does. I don't know if it's wrong for the. I don't know if his name is wrong. I don't know if this is like a wrong. I need someone else to tell me, because it's gonna be a recurring name throughout this whole book. Like, should I even be reading it? But it's literally, I mean, he's the Black Prince. That's what he's called. The Black Prince. A master knife thrower, secretive champion of the poor, Dustfinger's best friend from long ago. And he's accompanied wherever he goes by a faithful black bear. It also describes him, I think, in the beginning of the book as being, like, dark as night. His hair's dark, and his skin is dark, and his bear is dark. And they're both just, like, dark. Might have been in the other book. It's like a black knight. I mean, it's just a word, but like if it has a meaning, then it has a meaning. But like if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Like, I mean, Like that, it's just, you know, like I would like to know if it does, I guess, have a negative connotation to it. There we go. Because it could just be like a name. Hey, I think it's over there. Yeah, I think it's in this chapter. I'm never going to get to reading because I'm just going to be recapping the whole time. Hoi. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I could have seen like 8 horses by now. I know. I know. I get sad when I miss a sunset, you guys. I feel like I should see it every single day. I think that's really all I need to catch us up on. I mean, I could read over like all of the fucking names of people, but I'm just not going to. Y'all should be pretty up to date, I think. I really don't know, honestly. Alright, so we start here where Mo finds out that Maggie has just read herself and Farid into the book. Because since her mom was read out of the book, her mom was just telling her stories, which I have hiccups again, really. Her mom can't talk, right? I already said that, but like she writes out stuff, she like signs, but she doesn't know like real like regular sign language. She just makes like her own signs for stuff. So she like tells her stories of the ink world, and it makes Maggie want to go there. So Maggie decides to read herself and Farid into the book. And that's where we are at right now. Her dad is just about to find out that they're gone forever. Forever. I mean, that's dramatic. But why is my nose so red? I didn't put makeup on. I guess that's why. This is just what I look like naturally. Rough. Forever. Yes. And this chapter is called Gone. Oh, and like before each chapter, there's a little, I've told you all that before, like a tiny little paragraph or even just a sentence, a line, like anything from like a different book or poetry or a quote. And it's like a foreshadowing of what's about to go down into the book. Yeah, because it's cold. Okay, this says, I woke up and knew he was gone. Straight away, I knew he was gone. When you love somebody, you know these things. David Almond from Skellig. Mo knew at once that Maggie was gone. He knew it the moment he knocked on her door, and only silence replied. Am I like not exposed? That's exposing. Don't look at that. I can't. I'm so sore, dude. Shit. Okay, here we go. Just don't. I'll be right back. Let me just look for something really quick down here. Like so. Yes, yes. 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 Y'all could probably see me, huh? That's a bit embarrassing. I don't know that really helped, but yeah, it did. It's bright. Can I ever just be comfortable? Jesus. So annoying. Okay, so she's gone forever. Risa was down in the kitchen with Eleanor, laying the table for breakfast. The clink of the plates made its way upstairs to him, but he hardly heard it. He just stood there outside the closed door, listening to his own heart. It was beating far too loudly, far too fast. Maggie? He pressed down the handle, but the door was locked. Maggie never locked her door, never. His heart beat even faster, as if to choke him. The silence behind the door sounded terribly familiar, just as the silence had met his ears once before, when he had called Risa's name again and again. He had waited 10 years for an answer. Not again, please God, not again, not Maggie. It seemed as if he had heard the book whispering on the other side of the door. Finoglio's accursed story. He thought he heard the pages rustling, greedy as pale teeth. Mortimer, Eleanor was standing behind him. The eggs are getting cold. Where are you? And Maggie? Oh, heavens! She looked at his face with concern and reached for his hand. What's the matter with you? You're pale as death. Do you have a spare key for Maggie's door, Eleanor? She understood at once. Just like Mo, she guessed what had happened behind that locked door, presumably last night while they were sleeping. She pressed his hand, then she turned without a word and hurried downstairs. But Mo just stood there, leaning against the locked door. Heard Eleanor call Darius and began to search for the key, cursing, and he stared at the books standing side by side on her shelves all down the long corridor. Risa came running upstairs, pale-faced. Her hands fluttered like frightened birds as she asked him what had happened. But what was he to say? Can't you imagine? Haven't you told her about the place often enough? He tried the handle again, as if that could change anything. Maggie had covered the whole door with quotations. They looked to him now like magic spells written on white paint in a childish hand. Take me to another world. Go on. I know you can do it. My father has shown me how. Odd that your heart didn't simply stop when it hurt so much. But his heart hadn't stopped 10 years ago either, when the words on the page swallowed up Risa. Eleanor pushed him aside. She was holding the key in her trembling fingers, and she impatiently put it on the lock. Crossly, she called Maggie's name, as if she, too, hadn't guessed long ago that nothing but silence waited behind the door. The same silence as on the night that had taught Mo to fear his own voice. I'm sleepy. Sleepy. How many have I read? One? He was the last to enter the empty room, and he did so hesitantly. There was a letter on Maggie's pillow. Dearest Mo. He didn't read on. He didn't want to see the words that would only pierce him to the heart. As Risa picked up the letter, he looked around the room, his eyes searching for another sheet of paper, the one the boy had brought with him, but it was nowhere to be found. Well, of course not, you fool, he told himself. She's taken it with her. After all, she must have been holding it while she read. Only years later would he discover from Maggie that the original sheet of paper with Orpheus's writing on it had been there in her room all the time, hidden between the pages of the book. Where else? Okay, see, why the fuck would they put that in here? They literally just told us, oh, nothing to worry about. Years later, Mo's gonna find out that they're gonna... Wait. Yeah, it literally says discover from Maggie. That literally means they're gonna be reunited. Like... How you put such a big spoiler on page 113 out of, like, 600? The fuck? Ugh, anyways. What the hell? Hidden between the pages of a book. Where else? Her geography book. Suppose he had found it. Would he have been able to follow Maggie? No, probably not. The story had another path in store for him. A darker and more difficult path. Perhaps she's only gone off with the boy. Girls of her age do that kind of thing. Not that I know much about it, but... Eleanor's voice reached him as if from very far away. In answer, Risa handed her the letter that had been waiting on the pillow. Gone. Maggie was gone. He had no daughter anymore. That's so fucking dramatic. Like, oh my god. Would she come back like her mother, fished out of the sea of words again by some other voice? If so, when? In 10 years' time, like Risa? She'd be grown up by then. Would he even recognize her? Everything was blurred before his eyes. Maggie's school things on the desk in front of the window, her clothes carefully hanging over to the back of the chair as if she really meant to come back. Her soft toys beside the bed, their furry faces kissed threadbare, although it was a long time since Maggie had needed them to help her get to sleep. Risa began crying without a sound, one hand pressed to her mute mouth. Mo wanted to comfort her, but how could he with such despair in his own heart? He turned, pushed aside Darius, who was standing there in the open doorway with a sad, owl-like gaze, and went to his study, where those damned notebooks were still stacked among his own papers. He swept them off the desk, one by one, as if he could silence the words that way. All the accursed words that had bewitched his child, luring her away like the Pied Piper in the story, to a place where he had already been unable to follow Risa. Mo felt as if he were dreaming the same night all over again. But this time, he didn't even have a book whose pages he could have searched for Maggie. Later, he couldn't say how he had gotten through the rest of that day without going crazy. All he remembered was wandering for hours through Eleanor's garden, as if he might find Maggie somewhere there among the old trees where she liked to sit and read. When darkness fell and he set out to look for Risa, he found her sitting in Maggie's room. She was sitting on the empty bed, staring at 3 tiny creatures circling just below the ceiling, as if they were looking for the door they had come through. Maggie had left the window open, but they didn't fly out, perhaps because the strange black night frightened them. Fire elves, said Risa's hands when he sat down beside her. If they settle on your skin, you must shake them off or they'll burn you. Fire elves. Mo remembered reading about them in the book. Something always came back in return. There seemed to be just that one book in the whole world. Why 3 of them, he asked. One for Maggie, one for the boy. I think the Martin went too, said Risa's hands. Mo almost laughed out loud. Poor Dustfinger, he thought. He couldn't shake off his bad luck. But Mo could feel no sympathy for him. Not this time. Without Dustfinger, the words on the sheet of paper would have never been written. And he would still have a daughter. Gone for 5 minutes and all hell broke loose. I don't know what was going on, dude. My mind is going away from what I'm reading. I have to stop for a minute. We should have went to the horse. I'm gonna show you all this though, because it's beautiful. Nice. Where's the moon right now? I bet it's all cute and crescented. Oh, look at him up there. So cute and crescented. Can you guys see him? Oh, there he is. Those birds, those are geese, and they came here from Canada to be warm. They don't go any more south than this. From here, they just go back to Canada, like during the summer. Would have been a pretty one, guys. Oh well, I'm into this book. I say as I'm totally just drifting my mind right off of this book. Not paying attention at all. It's okay, I got this. Are y'all crooked? There we go. Bring this down some more. Shit's bright, dude. That's okay. Well, it's kind of dark. My chat's dark. Good afternoon. Hi. Adum. Don't understand anything, but I feel good. Nice. Fallen. I mean. Okay, elbow. I feel like an elf from Lord of the Rings. I'm an elf from Lord of the Rings. Why? More like a hobbit, man. You gotta be graceful and shit to be one of those elves. I was texting Mr. Dance Music. Secret conversation. It's private. What are we talking about? Okay, let's go back to this book, you guys. What are we doing? Come on, focus. Read more of Mo. You know his name is spelled just with the O. Like, it's just M-O. It's kind of weird. Very simple. Mo and Maggie. Yeah. We're gonna have fun tonight. What are we doing? Like checkers? Oh, I hope it's not trouble or something. Cause that could be, that's too much, you know? That's too intense for me. Maybe Candyland. Huh? I think the Martin went too, said Reese's hands. Mo almost laughed out loud. Poor Dustfinger, he obviously couldn't shake off his bad luck. But Mo could feel no sympathy for him. Not this time. Without Dustfinger, the words on the sheet of paper would have never been written. And he would still have a daughter. Do you think at least she'll like it there, he asked, laying his head on Reese's lap. After all, you liked it, didn't you? Or at any rate, you told her so. I'm sorry, said her hands, so very sorry. But he held her fingers tight. What are you talking about? He said softly. I was the one who brought the damned book into the house, remember? And then they were both silent. In silence, they watched the poor lost elves. At some point, they did fly through the window and into the strange night. As their tiny red bodies disappeared into the blackness like sparks going out, Mo wondered whether Maggie was wandering through an equally black night at this moment. The thought pursued him into his dark dreams. Chapter 12, you guys. Chapter 12. Said it sounds like the author's trying too hard. I don't know who said that earlier, but I get that. Like, I feel a lot of the times whenever I'm reading stuff, she just is repeating everything for a whole page. But, I mean, a lot of authors have dumb shit they do in books. Really, all of them, honestly. All of them. Yeah, she's, like, repeats a lot of stuff. Like, the whole page can go on and on just repeating the same point. Like what I'm saying right now, in different ways. That's how a page of her book would go. It's annoying. I feel like by the end of it, I read so much, but it didn't go anywhere. Okay, chapter 12, Uninvited Guests. This little foreshadowing is from The Wizard of Oz, L. Frank Baum. You people with hearts, he once said, have something to guide you and need never do wrong. But I have no heart, and so I must be very careful. Okay, now we're on Eleanor's point of view. I did tell y'all I was going to tell you whenever that happens. This freaking sunset! Try really hard to get the point and plot across. Yeah, and it's just like we got it. You don't have to over explain yourself so much, like we get it. On the day when Maggie disappeared, silence moved back into Eleanor's house. But not the silence of the old days when only her books lived there with her. The silence that now filled the rooms and corridors tasted of sorrow. Risa wept a great deal, and Mortimer said nothing, as if paper and ink had swallowed up not just his daughter, but all the words in the world with her. He spent a lot of time in his workshop, ate little, hardly slept, and on the third day, Darius, looking very anxious, went to Eleanor and told her that Silvertongue was packing up all his tools. When Eleanor entered his workshop, out of breath because Darius had been tugging her along behind him so fast, Mortimer was throwing the stamps he used for gold leaf into a crate, pell-mell, tools that he normally handled as carefully as if they were made of glass. "What the devil are you doing?" inquired Eleanor. "What does it look like?" he replied and began clearing away his sewing frame. "I'm going to find another profession. I never want to touch a book again. Curse them all. Other people can listen to the stories they tell and mend the clothes they wear. I want nothing more to do with them." When Eleanor went to fetch Risa for help, read the link? Yeah? What? Why can't I talk? When Eleanor went to fetch Risa to help her, Risa just shook her head. God, I got stuck in my brain. I was on a loop in there. Every time I was about to say it, it was just about to I don't know, guys. "Well, I can understand why those two are useless just now," commented Eleanor, as she and Darius sat at breakfast by themselves yet again. "How could Maggie do a thing like that to them? What was her idea? Did she want to break her poor parents' hearts, or prove once and for all that all books are dangerous?" Darius had no answer but silence. He had been the same all these last few sad days. My God, I can't freaking read. He had been the same all these last few sad days. Why was that so hard? "For heaven's sake, all of you silent as the grave," Eleanor snapped back at him. "We must do something to get the silly creature back. Anything. Good God, it can't be as difficult as that. After all, there are no fewer than two Silvertongues under this roof." Darius looked at her in alarm and choked on his tea. He had left his gift unused for so long that no doubt it seemed like a dream to him, and he didn't want to be reminded of it. All right, you don't have to read aloud," Eleanor assured him impatiently. Good God, that owlish gaze of horror. She could have shaken him. Mortimer can do it, but what should he read? Think, Darius. If we want to fetch her back, should it be something about the Ink world or something about our own world? Oh, I'm all confused. Perhaps we can write something like, once upon a time, there was a grumpy middle-aged woman called Eleanor who loved nothing but her books until one day her niece moved in with her along with her niece's husband and daughter. Eleanor liked that, but then one day the daughter set off on a very, very stupid journey, and Eleanor swore that she would give all her books away if only the child would come home. She packed them up in a big crate, and as she was putting in the last book, Maggie walked through the doorway. Heavens above, don't stare at me like that in a sympathetic way, she snapped at Darius. I'm just trying to do something at least. And you yourself kept saying, Mortimer is a master, it only takes him a couple of sentences. Darius adjusted his glasses. Yes, only a couple of sentences, he said in his gentle, uncertain voice. But they must be sentences describing a whole world, Eleanor. The words must make music. They must be so closely interwoven that the voice doesn't fall through. Oh, for goodness sake, Eleanor said brusquely, although she knew he was right. Mortimer had once tried to explain it to her in almost the same way. Eleanor seems like she's thick. What do you mean? She's like an old lady. She's the old lady with like a gray bun. I don't know if y'all need like a picture, but that's like what you should be picturing with Eleanor. I mean, she's kind of thick in the movie, but not like in the way you would say thick, you know. It's just kind of like an apple. I love Eleanor, dude. She's just my favorite character. She's awesome. Freaking the best. Although she knew he was right, Mortimer had once tried to explain it to her in almost the same way, the mystery of why not every story would come to life. But she didn't want to hear about that, not now. Damn you, Eleanor, she thought bitterly. Damn you 3 times over for all those evenings you spent with that silly child imagining what it would be like to live in that other world, among fairies, brownies, and glass men. There had been many such evenings, very many, and Mortimer had often put his head around the door and asked sarcastically if they couldn't discuss something other than the wayless woods and blue-skinned fairies just for once. Well, at least Maggie knows all she needs to know about that world, thought Eleanor, wiping the tears from her eyes. She realizes she must be careful of the Adderhead and his men-at-arms, and she mustn't go too far into the forest or she'll probably be eaten, torn to pieces, or trodden underfoot. And she'll be well advised not to go up to the passes, not to go up when she passes it, not to look... Please don't look at me, I'm embarrassed. And my chat has died. There you are. And should be well advised not to look up when she passes a gallows. She knows she must bow when a prince rides by, and that she can still wear her hair loose because she's only a girl. Damn it, here come the tears again. Eleanor was mopping the corners of her eyes with the hem of her blouse when someone rang the front doorbell. Many years later, she was still angry with herself for the stupidity that didn't warn her to look through the spy hole in the door before opening it. Of course she had thought it was Riesler or Mortimer outside. Of course. Stupid Eleanor. Stupid, stupid Eleanor. She realized her mistake only when she opened the door, and there stood the stranger in front of her. He was not very tall and rather too well fed, with pale skin and equally pale, fair hair. The eyes behind the rimless glasses looked slightly surprised, almost innocent like a child's. He opened his mouth to speak as Eleanor put her head around the door, but she cut him short. "What are you doing here?" she barked. "This is private property. Didn't you see the sign down by the road?" He had come in a car. The impudent fool had simply brought it up her drive. Eleanor saw it, a dusty dark blue vehicle standing beside her own station wagon. She thought she saw a huge dog on the passenger seat. That was the last straw. "Yes, of course I did." The stranger's smile was so innocent that it suited his my God. His childish face. "Why, no one could miss seeing the sign, and I really do apologize, Senora Loredon, for my sudden and unannounced arrival." Heavens above, it took Eleanor's breath away. The moon-faced man's voice was almost as beautiful as Mortimer's, deep and velvety like a cushion. Coming from that round face with its childlike eyes, it was so incongruous that she felt almost as if the stranger had followed its real owner and taken over his voice. And never mind the apology, said Eleanor abruptly once she had gotten over her surprise. Just get out. And so saying, she was about to close the door again, but the stranger only smiled. A smile that no longer looked quite so innocent, and jammed his shoe between the door and the frame, a dusty brown shoe. Do forgive me, Signor Loredon, he said softly, but I've come about a book, a truly unique book, I have heard, of course, that you have a remarkable library, and I can assure you that you don't have this book in your collection. With an almost reverent expression on his face, he put a hand under his pale, creased linen jacket. Eleanor recognized the book at once, of course. It was the only book that made her heart beat faster, not because it was a particularly fine edition, or because she longed to read it. No, at the sight of that book, Eleanor's heart beat faster for only one reason, because she feared it like a ferocious animal. Do you guys hear like a rave? What the hell? I want to show you all this though, the sky. Okay, I'm just gonna have to be cold for a minute. Y'all hear that? What the fuck? It wasn't even that pretty. It's way prettier in person. So, you know, it's kind of pointless. But I'm going to shut the door now because it's cold as fuck. Oi. Fucking freezing. Holy shit. I'm so sore. Whew. I feel like that wasn't where you were. But I don't know. I guess it don't matter that much. Make it through this chapter. Dude, I can't believe still today that happened. That was crazy. Good night, Mr. Dance. I'm pretty tired too, dude. This makes me so sleepy. There's like 3 more pages left in this chapter, and then I'm gonna stop. 18 degrees? I don't know what it is here. That sounds right. What the hell? This says it's 40. It's lying. The low is 22 tonight, though. I'm like shaking, dude. 40 degrees. The highs for the rest of the week are going to be 50s. Tomorrow's going to be 56 and sunny, though. It would be a good day to go somewhere. If I was going to. But what would be my plan? Because that would be daytime. Okay. I have to be up early for daytime stuff. Let me look up that one of... No, I'm reading. Let me finish reading. I'm in the middle of something. Stop getting distracted. I'm literally on task. Get back to my thing. I got this. It's crazy. It's crazy. Go hang out with the sunset horse. It's too late. It's dark. It's dark already. I'm so shiny, dude. Oh, and fidgety. I'm trying to sit like normal, but I'm just not normal. Yeah, horse went to sleep. Respectfully. Of course, of course. Of course. Tomorrow. Yes, there's always going to be another one tomorrow, except there's literally maybe not. That's why I like to see them every day. Because maybe there won't be tomorrow. Maybe the sun won't even set tomorrow. Maybe literally the world will blow up and I don't get a sunset. Who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe I die before sunset. Oh my god, that would suck. I missed my last sunset. Shit. I guess that just means I can't die till tomorrow night. One more day. With an almost reverent expression on his face, he put a hand under his pale, creased linen jacket. Eleanor recognized the book at once. Of course, it was the... I already fucking read that, and it literally just says, book. Where did you get that from? She answered her questions herself. What? Where did you get that from? She answered her question herself. But unfortunately, a little too late. Suddenly, very suddenly, the memory of the boy's story came back to her. Orpheus, she whispered, and she wanted to shout loud enough for Mortimer to hear her in his workshop. But before a sound could come out of her mouth, someone slipped out of the cover of the flower bushes by the front door, quick as a lizard, and put his hand over her mouth. Why is the lizard? Well, my lady bookworm, a man's voice purred in her ear. Why did they write it like that? And then the next line, Eleanor at all. Let me just... If I change how you read it, dude, okay. Well, my lady bookworm, a man's voice purred in her ear. Eleanor had so often heard that voice in her dreams. And every time she found herself fighting for breath at the sound of it. Even in broad daylight, the effect was just as bad. Basta pushed her roughly back into the house. No, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why did they write it like that? Okay, no, I'm gonna be serious. Well, my lady bookworm, I can't fucking do it now. I can't do it. This whole scene, dude, why did they write it like that? This is dirty. A man's voice purred in her ear. Eleanor had so often heard that voice in her dreams, and every time she found herself fighting for breath at the sound of it. Even in broad daylight, the effect was just as bad. Just as bad. Just as bad. How do I say it without it sounding hot? In broad daylight, oh my god. They meant it like that. There's no other way. Basta pushed her roughly back into the house. Of course he had a knife in his hand. Eleanor could as easily imagine Basta without a nose as without a knife. Orpheus turned and waved to the strange car. A man built like a wardrobe got out, strolled around the car at a leisurely pace, and opened the back door. An old woman stuck out her legs and reached for his arm. Mortola, the magpie. Another regular visitor to Eleanor's nightmares. The old woman's legs were thickly bandaged under her dark stockings, and she leaned on a stick as she walked towards Eleanor's house on the wardrobe man's arm. She hobbled into the hall with a grimly determined expression, as if she were taking possession of the whole house. And the look she gave Eleanor was so openly hostile that its recipient felt weak at the knees. Hard as she tried to hide her fear, 1,000 dreadful memories came back to her. Memories of a cage stinking of raw meat and a square lit by the beams of glaring car headlights. And fear, dreadful fear. Basta closed the door of the house behind Mortola. He hadn't changed. The same thin face, the same way of narrowing his eyes, and there was an amulet dangling around his neck to ward off the bad luck that Basta had thought lurked under every ladder and behind every bush. Where are the others? Mortola demanded while the wardrobe man looked around him with a foolish expression. The sight of all those books seemed to fill him with boundless astonishment. He was probably wondering what on earth anyone would do with so many. The others? I don't know what you're talking about, Eleanor thought. Her voice sounded remarkably steady for a woman half dead with terror. Mortola's small round chin jutted aggressively. You know perfectly well I'm talking about Silvertongue and his witch of a daughter and that maidservant, the one he calls his wife. Shall I get Basta to set fire to a few of your books, or will you call the 3 of them for us on your own accord? Basta's afraid of fire, Eleanor wanted to reply. Really? Cool. But she refrained. It wasn't difficult to hold a lighted match to a book. Even Basta, who feared fire so much, would probably be capable of that small action. And the wardrobe man didn't look bright enough to be afraid of anything. I just have to keep stalling, thought Eleanor. After all, they don't know about the workshop in the garden, or about Darius either. Eleanor, she heard Darius call at that very moment. Before she could reply, Basta's hand went over her mouth again. She heard Darius come down the corridor with his usual rapid tread. Eleanor, he called again. Then the footsteps stopped as abruptly as his voice. Surprise, surprise, purred Basta. Aren't you glad to see us, Stumbletongue? A couple of old friends came to pay you a visit. Basta's left hand was bandaged. Eleanor noticed when he took his fingers away from her mouth, and she remembered the hissing creature that Farad said had slipped through the words in Dustfinger's place. What a pity it didn't eat more of our knife-happy friend, she thought. Basta, Darius's voice was a little more than a whisper. Well, mine wasn't. Basta. That's right, Basta. I'd have been here much sooner, believe you me, but they put me in jail for a while on account of something that happened years ago. No sooner was Capricorn gone than all the people who had been too scared to open their mouths suddenly felt very brave. Well, never mind. You could say that they did me a favor, because who do you think they put in my cell one fine day? I never could get him to tell me his real name, so let's call him by the name he's given himself. Orpheus. He slapped the man so hard on the back that he stumbled forward. Yes, our good friend Orpheus. Basta put an arm around his shoulders. The devil did me a real favor when he made Orpheus, of all people, my cellmate. Or perhaps our story is so keen to have us back that it sent him. Well, one way or another, we have a good time, didn't we? Orpheus did not look at him. He straightened his jacket in embarrassment and inspected Eleanor's bookshelves. Hey, just look at him. Basta dug his elbow roughly into Orpheus's ribs. You wouldn't believe how often I've told him there's nothing to be ashamed of in going to jail, particularly when your prisons here are so much more comfortable than our dungeons at home. Come on, tell them how I found out about your invaluable gifts. How I caught you one night reading yourself that stupid dog out of the book. Reading himself a dog. Lord knows I could have thought of better ideas. Basta laughed nastily, and Orpheus straightened his tie with nervous fingers. Cerberus is still in the car, he told Martola. He doesn't like it there at all. We ought to bring him in. The wardrobe man turned to the door. He obviously had a soft spot for animals, but Martola stopped him with an impatient gesture. The dog stays where it is. I can't stand that creature. Frowning, she looked around Eleanor's hall. Well, I expect your house to be bigger than this, she said, with assumed disappointment. I thought you were rich. So she is. Basta flung his arm so roughly around Orpheus's neck that his glasses slipped down his nose. But she spends all her money on books. What would she pay us for the book we took from Dustfinger, do you think? He pinched Orpheus's round cheeks. Yes, our friend here made a good juicy bait for the fire eater. He may look like a bullfrog, but even Silvertongue can't make the words obey him so well, let alone Darius. Ask Dustfinger. Orpheus sent him home as if nothing could be easier. Not that fire eater will. Not that the fire eater will. Hold your tongue, Basta, Martola interrupted him abruptly. You've always liked the sound of your own voice. Well, she impatiently tapped her stick on the marble tiles that were Eleanor's pride and joy. Where are they? Where are the others? I shan't ask again. Shan't? Okay. Which cheeks? Oh my god. Come on, Eleanor told herself. Lie to them. Lie yourself blue in the face, quick. But she hadn't even opened her mouth when she heard the key in the lock. Oh no, no, Mortimer, she prayed silently. Stay where you are. Go back to the workshop with Risa. Shut yourselves up there, but please, please don't come in just now. Of course her prayers made not the slightest difference. Mortimer opened the door, came in with his arm around Risa's shoulders, and stopped abruptly at the sight of Orpheus. Before he had entirely grasped what was going on, the man built like a wardrobe had closed the door behind him in obedience to a signal from Martola. Hello there, Silvertongue, said Basta in a menacingly soft voice as he snapped his knife open in front of Mortimer's face. And isn't this our lovely mute Risa? Excellent. 2 birds with 1 stone. All we need now is the little witch. Eleanor saw Mortimer close his eyes for a moment, as if hoping that Basta and Martola would have disappeared when he opened them again. But naturally, no such thing happened. Call her, ordered Martola, as she stared at Mortimer with such hatred in her eyes that Eleanor felt afraid. Who? He asked, without taking his eyes off Basta. Don't pretend to be more stupid than you are, Martola said crossly, or do you want me to let Basta cut the same pattern on your wife's face as he did on the fire eaters? Basta ran his thumb lovingly over the gleaming blade. If by little witch you mean my daughter, replied Mortimer huskily, she isn't here. Oh no, Martola hobbled toward him. Be careful what you say. My legs are aching after that endless drive to get here, so I'm not feeling particularly patient. She isn't here, Mortimer repeated. Meggie has gone away with the boy you took from the book. He asked her to take him to Dustfinger. She did it, and she went with him. Martola narrowed her eyes incredulously. Nonsense, she exclaimed. How could she have done it without the book? But Eleanor saw the doubt in her face. Mortimer shrugged. The boy had a handwritten sheet of paper with him, the one that sent Dustfinger back, apparently. That's impossible. Orpheus looked at him in astonishment. Are you seriously saying that your daughter read herself into the story using my words? Oh, so you're this Orpheus, are you? Mortimer returned his glance, not in a very friendly way. Then you're responsible for the loss of my daughter. Orpheus straightened his glasses and gave Mortimer an equally hostile look. Then abruptly he turned to Martola. Is this man Silvertongue? He demanded. He's lying. I'm sure of it. He's lying. No one can read themselves into a story. He can't. His own daughter can't. No one can. I've tried it myself hundreds of times. It doesn't work. Yes, said Mortimer warily. That's just what I thought too, until 4 days ago. Martola stared at him, then she signaled to Basta. Shut them up in the cellar, she ordered, and then look for the girl. Search the whole house. How about you shit? You don't even live here. Shut them up in the cellar. You don't even fucking have the keys. Eleanor needs guns in her house. What the fuck? Ooh. Stupid. All this in the fucking first book and she don't have a gun in every house? Anyways. In every room in the house? I don't know what I just said. In every house. I know, they just invited themselves in. Talking about lock them in the cellar. The fuck? Tripping. Looking rough, boys. Boys.